Hi, my name is Tanner and I'm here to help you out today. I understand you've been experiencing some hoarseness and discomfort with your voice, and so I want to take a look at the larynx, otherwise known as the voice box, to try to help give you a better understanding of what's going on and how you can help. So I'm going to define some terms before I get into it. Superior means towards the top, and inferior means towards the bottom. Anterior means towards the front, and posterior means towards the back. I like to remember that because anterior starts with an A, which is at the front of the alphabet, so that's helpful to me. And then lastly, we have medial versus lateral. Medial is kind of in the name where it's towards the midline, and lateral is out to the sides. Okay, so let's get into the anatomy. At the superior most portion of the larynx, you have what's called the epiglottis. It is not used for speech, but it is used for swallowing. So this is the airway through here, and the epiglottis during swallowing throws back and throws the food towards the esophagus, which is located over here, and prevents you from choking. Directly inferior to that, you have the thyroid, which is the largest cartilage in the laryngeal system. It's at the front, and it's in men, it's what's known as the Adam's apple. You can feel it if you touch it there. Directly inferior to that, you have what's called the cricoid. It's this ring-like structure, and it acts as the foundation for the laryngeal system. Even if you see, as I'm holding it here, it supports the rest of the structure. On the posterior side of the cricoid and directly superior, you have what are called these arytenoids. And these arytenoids are pyramid-like structures that have a lot of movement. And so I think of these like fingers on a marionette, or a puppet's string, in the same way that these fingers manipulate a puppet's movement. These arytenoids manipulate the sound and shape of your voice. And attached to these arytenoids, again, are these vocal cords, indicated these white cords here, and those are what vibrates to create speech. I'll say again that this whole system is made up of cartilage, and that allows it to have a lot of flexibility in movement, so we can create all of the various sounds necessary for speech. So you can see as the thyroid comes forward and down, it can tighten the vocal cords. You can see there. And as it comes back and up, it can loosen the vocal cords. Tighten makes high-pitched tones, and loosen makes lower pitched tones, right? It's just to give you an idea of how the system kind of works in tandem to create speech. And so during speech, what happens is, first I should say, when these arytenoids are completely abducted, completely open, your airway is open. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with this. There we go. When they're completely abducted, the airway is open, and so it's moving freely during rest and during breathing. When they're completely adducted, add as in to put together, they come together like this and they completely close off the airway. On either side of these cords would be vocal folds, and so when I'm showing you this adduction, the airway is completely closed off. What this allows is for air pressure to build in this subglottal area. It's called subglottal pressure. Air wants to come up, but it can't because of these adducted vocal cords. And so what happens is once the air reaches a pressure threshold, the air shoots out from the bottom up. So it kind of goes like this. And I like to think of the example of a balloon. If you're holding a balloon by the neck, and this would be these adducted vocal cords, it's completely closing off the airway. But then as you slowly release, the air comes out, bottoms up, and it snaps back together, and it creates that sound that happens when you release air from a balloon. The vocal cords work essentially the same way, where air is rushing out and it's creating this vibration effect that creates the sound. It's the source of sound that we use during speech. And it is able to vibrate because of two factors. Number one, the vocal cords, like the rubber in the balloon, has an elastic quality, so it wants to and can return back to its normal shape. And number two, it's called the Bernoulli's effect, is the fact that fast-moving air creates a suction-like quality, and so it sucks the vocal cords back together. And so during speech, you're adducting your vocal cords and they're slamming back together in order to produce vibration, which is the source, again, of sound. So that's how you use speech. That's the anatomy of the larynx. What's happening with you? In the picture that we looked at together, you can see that there's bumps forming along the vocal cords. Those are called nodules. Nodules are callus-like structures that form in a very similar way, where they form from repeated friction over time. And so as you're using your voice throughout the day and your vocal cords are slamming together hundreds of thousands of times, these nodules are forming. Why is that creating a hoarse voice? Because with those bumps, your vocal cords cannot adduct properly. They can't close the airway off correctly, which means you can't create that subglottal pressure correctly. And so you have to overwork your vocal muscles in order to get that completely closed off airway and create that subglottal pressure. So not only is your voice sounding different because of the shape changing, but also getting extra exhausted because of the extra work that you're doing in order to create speech. So how can we fix it? There are 3 tricks for vocal health that I would like you to employ during your job to help you with better vocal health. Number 1, taking vocal breaks throughout the day is going to be very helpful for you because it's going to allow those vocal cords to have some time to rest and heal. Number 2, I think it would be helpful to use a microphone that will allow you to speak at a relaxed register and with relaxed muscles and still be heard throughout the day. And number 3, drinking a lot of water is going to keep those vocal cords hydrated and healthy, and it's going to help prevent those nodules from forming. So those are 3 things that I think would be very helpful for you to try. I look forward to seeing you again, and I hope everything goes well. Thank you.